There's no cheersing to. I don't even know if this is a pour one out. I am out of patience. And a little change up. We've been laughing at the Bears, but we might need to laugh at ourselves for a second. And that is in regards to the Wisconsin Badgers. Luke Fickell, as the Wisconsin's football coach, has overpromised, and underdelivered. 100%. The marketing campaign, I got fooled. I completely got fooled. Because you know what? All that matters is the results on the field. Say what you want about the Badgers and the future of the program. I don't care. All I know is that I am so sick of Indiana football. What was the dump of the Big Ten? They showed year over year. This is 1 year. Year over year on CBS against Michigan. I don't care who they've played. Indiana is 10-0. And close game, this one, but they beat the crap out of teams. And they have identity, and they brought in 15 transfers from James freaking Madison, and they are 10-0, and they're in that little playoff picture that they do a reveal show on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and you see their ranking, and you see what they do on the field, and you can't not be impressed. Meanwhile, I'm being told to be patient. Well, I'm done being patient. I'm done. I am done watching the god-awful football from the Wisconsin Badgers because at the end of the day, if Indy freaking Anna can bring in Curt Cignetti from James Madison and turn around what was the worst program in the Big Ten in the last 20 years to what they are now, why should I be patient, Brad? Former Badger alum Brad Nortman, why should I be patient? I'm so sick. I'm happy for the Indiana fans because that looks awesome. What I'm going to, which I have to go to on Saturday, I have to go to the Wisconsin-Oregon game. I'm saying I have to. I don't get to. I have to go to the game. They're cool. They're doing a 2014-15 basketball reunion.
Oh, cool.
Cool. But guess what? I'm not excited because I got to go watch bad football. And I'm so sick of this, watching Indiana turn their football program around, me be told, hey, be patient.
Yeah, Ben, your lack of patience right now, it's warranted. I've tried to elicit patience all throughout last year and even partway through this season, but it becomes so discouraging when you don't see any signs of improvement, when you see steps backward, not steps forward. You see an identity that's been formed over the course of 30 years be dismantled right in front of you. And I don't see what clear path is going forward. He's going to have Coach Fickell's
mediocrity is the path.
If that's the path, then
do you feel as if it's not?
I don't see what the path back to greatness is because not only Indiana is the most unbelievable example. I never thought that Indiana football team would be in the college football playoff before the Wisconsin Badgers. They had won like 4 games in the Big Ten in like 5 years. That's why last year it was so nauseating when the Badgers did lose to Indiana because they've been the doormat of the Big Ten forever. But I even think about Brett Bielema in Illinois. In his second season, he was knocking off ranked teams and he brought them back. And then Coach Heupel in Tennessee. Tennessee was terrible for decades. And then he came in his second year, 11-2, and beat 7 ranked teams, including Alabama. So don't tell me it can't happen. Don't tell me that you need 4 years to turn around programs. These are all programs, with the exception of Tennessee, that are not as historically hyped and, have the pageantry that the Wisconsin Badgers do. So we have more resources. We have more talent. We should be able to be doing better than we are right now. And I don't know how much more patience you can have. Don't give me 4 years. I need to see something before the year is over. And this team better be ramping up for next year because 3 years is plenty of time. Clearly it can be done. Look at Indiana. Look at Tennessee. Look at Illinois. But Indiana is the most frustrating one of all.
Freaking Anna. John in Milwaukee, 800-990-3776. Tell me to be patient. I'm going to lose it.
Well, you can be patient, but I'm wondering if they continue their downward trajectory, do you go after a Lance Leipold, who's been successful everywhere he goes, or do you go back and get Jim Leonard, which many people thought that he'd be the next person who should have gotten it?
I'm concerned. This is Mac's hire, right? McIntosh, the athletic director.
He can't go back.
He basically staked his claim on this hire. Right?
Jim Leonard would probably be like, ha!
I don't think Jim would take the job. I really don't think he would.
I think he'd take the call.
And Lance Leipold, maybe. I mean, but again, Mac is doing everything he can to put Fickell in a good position to win here. So that means patience. That means a long time. I just don't know how long I can go seeing mediocrity in football.
In this world, you can bring people in faster. You can change your program faster, and we're not feeling it, and others are doing it and surpassing us while we slowly trickle down the Big Ten into not even mediocrity to where Indiana was, and it's just sickening. Indiana's dominating the line of scrimmage, Brad. You know what that's like. You watched it. I watched it.
Did.
It was amazing. Now we're identityless. That's a word. John in Milwaukee, 800-990-3776. Do you feel the same way as I do?
I do. We've talked about this before. You don't have to win every game, but you can establish a culture. And I'm with you guys. I'm tired of waiting for results. Who is this team? 2 years in, you still don't know. And that's wrong, man.
Well, you get embarrassed by Iowa. Embarrassed at Iowa a week ago.
I turn around,
They lose to UCLA, soft UCLA. I mean, it's unbelievable. And the games that the Badgers have won, they're other trash Big Ten teams or non-conference games. They haven't had a signature win. They skate by
Rutgers.
And even last year, they skate by
Rutgers.
I don't know. They're going to lose this weekend, obviously. Nebraska, Minnesota, coin flips at best. Minnesota looks better than them. It's crazy.
Alan in Milwaukee. Alan, how you feeling, Alan?
Hey, how's it going, y'all? Just to hit on both topics you guys are going over. As far as the Bears' chances, I will give them maybe 10-20% chance because players play for Super Bowl, but then once that's over with, they start playing for jobs. And so when you got 53 guys playing for jobs for next year,
I like that. Hit me Badgers because we're short on time.
I'll give them a puncher's chance. Badgers, they fell for the hot hire. They were duped going for the hot hire instead of going somewhere that was more consistent. I would have gone after a guy like Lane Kiffin, who has got a proven record of at least being above 500 and winning games everywhere he's gone.
Alan, I like where you're headed. I
update that.
I like where you're headed. I just don't know how Lane Kiffin would have ended up in Madison.
Yeah, he's got big job opportunity. He's an SEC guy, but I don't. But we're duped. Oof. It's well said and kind of cuts deep.
Done. And the problem with the Badgers is it's not like. Again, have they won a couple games? Sure. 2 of them were early in the season, and not even those looked horrible. What was it, North Dakota State and South Dakota?
It was South Dakota and Western Michigan.
There it is.
Both of which were they were down at some point in the third quarter for both those games.
Heading into the fourth quarter, they were down.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, fine, found a way to win, but let's build something. Losing to Iowa the way they did and watching Iowa lose, then watching Indiana. I don't care if they played nobody. They have done it in a way that is respectable, and they've done it really fast. Let's go to Lewis on the north side. The north side always knows. Lewis, you're up.
Hey, man, y'all got to give my boy Luke Fickell some time, man. He's playing with Tyler Van Dyke is out. Last year was his first year, recruiting, transfers, still playing with Paul Chris players. So you guys got to be patient and give him some time. He's trying to land a 4-star quarterback next year. Give him some time.
How long?
Next year. Next year will be good.
All right, so next year, if they're not a 9-win team at least, then I can start to panic. If you want to say one more year, I will listen to that argument. But don't tell me year 4. Don't tell me year 4. That's way too long. And that argument, look, there are still quite a few Paul Chris players on the team. But those are the guys that have survived and have played and are starters. But with each and every year, with each and every week, there's less and less of an argument to be had with that. Because with, like we said, transfers, your own guys, and Luke Fickell is supposed to be a developmental head coach, right? Priding himself on development. So even if they're not your guys, you can still develop them. And then the ultimate thing is Indiana. They had nobody. The Badgers started with significantly more talent than Indiana, and look what they're doing this year.
Steve in Middleton, 800-990-3776. Your thoughts on what feels like the lifeless program for the Wisconsin Badgers?
Ben, you're spot on. Let me make 2 quick points. One, I can hardly watch an NFL game on Sunday without seeing a Badger lineman on offense at center, guard, tackle. We've been putting them in there for 30 years. I'm a 71-year-old alum who's been watching since the late 60s, and they're all over the NFL. Tell me which of this group of guys, other than some of the Christ recruits, are going to be playing on Sunday in the NFL. And secondly, my second point is in regards to Mac. He's made some outstanding moves so far at coaches, but you're allowed to make a mistake once in a while. You're not going to be, as a CEO, perfect. However, the measure of a really good CEO, which is what an AD is knowing when to cut your losses. You don't stick with sunk cost and just watch it walk out the door. And you're spot on about Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota, some of the other programs. This program is not headed in the right direction right now. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Steve in Middleton. But, like, when you say that, Brad, my heart sinks. And when he says all that, my heart sinks.
That's sad. I mean, you and I have a very close relationship with the university. This is I know you're the same with me. This is the primary team I root for that, like, has my heartstrings. And so there's no joy in seeing this program like this. And college football is designed for you to, like, take advantage of big brands and momentum. And Wisconsin football is a big brand. Like, it's nationally known. So it's not like he's
I don't want it to be a was thing, too. That's the scary thing.
Yeah. I think you'd almost have to say was. At this point.
A Nebraska fan wants to weigh in. Steve in Pewaukee, from your perspective.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, guys, for taking my call. I come from a diehard Nebraska fan perspective, and this, when Fickell was hired, I kind of chuckled to myself and said, this is reminiscent of the Frank Solich transition and what happened there. And you can count the number of coaches we've cycled through over the last 20 years. Be careful what you ask for. I think Mac was looking for something more than just chasing conference championships and Citrus Bowls, but be careful what you ask for, because if you start making changes and make another change and then make another change, you can get into this cycle that the Huskers have been in for the last 20 years.
Yeah, Steve, I appreciate the perspective, and I don't disagree with you can get caught in a bad cycle, but the opportunity to not get caught in that cycle for as long as other programs were in is different now. It's a different world. There are collectives. There isn't, from what I hear, right, there's enough money to go around to get players into the program. The bad feeling I have is, I'm not going to lie, when Coach Fickell speaks, it doesn't make me feel good about the direction of the program, right? When they lose to Iowa by 30 plus, I want scorched earth. I want to know that there's something inside you, instead of like, it wasn't our day. We didn't win the line of scrimmage. No crap.
Well,
I didn't say it, but you can hit it.
It's interesting, right? Earlier in the show, we were talking about Dan Campbell, Jim Harbaugh. Like, those are like foxhole guys that inspire something in you. And Matt LaFleur kind of does it in his own way, because he's so brilliant and he's so calculated. So he does it in his own way. But I think about the great times of Wisconsin Badgers, right? Alvarez, 𝙆𝙍𝙍𝙍, those dudes would want to make you run through a brick wall, and they firmly placed and laid down a foundation and identity. I think that's what makes this even more hard. Not just that they're losing, but they have no identity, and the identity was so clear. It was so clear for so long. So, and that you could reach greatness with that old identity.
And that's the thing is, I was for the hire, right?
I was too.
I'm not going to sit here and be like, I thought Mac made the wrong choice. When you look at it, right, on paper, Luke Fickell was able to do what the Badgers weren't, and he did it at Cincinnati. They made it to a college football playoff, with a much lower amount of teams that could make the college football playoff. And I had watched Cincinnati, and I was like, okay, I kind of see what they're doing here. But at the end of the day, it feels as if there's a disconnect between trying to build something the way he did at Cincinnati and building something which is a lot more achievable in a quicker way of like getting your team to play better right away, and like building an identity right away. And also not just the marketing from the Badgers, but like what he has said has not translated. I'll never forget, he said everything I wanted to hear in a introductory press conference. Was it boring? Absolutely. But he was a wrestler in college. He coached at Ohio State. He had ties to Tressel and some of the greatness that happened at Ohio State. He said he wanted to win the line of scrimmage. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, if we're going to go away from the Alvarez, 𝙆𝙆𝙍𝙍, Christ, I want someone who's going to tell me that we're going to win a physical style of football. Do you watch physicality? Because I don't. I don't watch physicality. I watch us get pushed around. And that's the frustrating part is like, again, that's why I can't blame the hire. I can blame with what I'm seeing. And what I'm seeing right now is nothing matching up to what I've been told. And the last thing I want is to keep going in time and then it be too late and be like, all right, now we're another year behind because we don't have somebody that is instilling those things and making it happen on the field. 42-7, was that the score? Or 42-10?
42-10. I
don't care. That's not acceptable. Absolutely not acceptable.
Against a team that's supposed to be like a measuring stick. And I think I'm right there with you. I was applauding the hire of Fickell, right? Because I thought the same thing. I thought Ohio State, they're the combination of toughness and physicality and smart and relevance and skill. So I'm like, okay, we can shape Wisconsin to look like that. I'm all for it. That's what I felt like I saw at Cincinnati. But here at Wisconsin, you just have to wonder, is it the right match? Because he hasn't been able to hold on to that Wisconsin physicality and also introduce any sort of skill position that still remains tough.
The physicality thing, man. Like,
and it's football, right?
It's football.
It's football.
I'm watching Indiana, number 6 and number 8. I don't need to know their names, but they disrupt.
Yes, they do.
They disrupt. You don't need to know their names. You don't even have to watch Indiana play. Let me tell you this. Those two guys are D tackles, and they blow up the line of scrimmage. You can say what you want about Michigan, right? Michigan still was, 5-4. They won a national championship last year. They got guys who competed at a high level, and they dismantled that front. Now, the game flow, whatever. All I know is when I'm watching from a team that sucked to now 10-0, despite who their opponents have been. Last week, they didn't win big, but they've won big other games. They beat Michigan State big. Indiana against, I'm blanking, they were 7.5-point favorites to win by
I think Nebraska. They beat Nebraska by like 50.
They were down 10-0 and they won 45-10. Like, seeing Indiana do that and having to go to Madison this weekend, when I heard 6:30, I was like, all right, there's the Badger basketball game for this 2014 Final 15 Final Four reunion. The Badgers basketball team plays Arizona. Very cool story. Both 14 and 15 beat Arizona in the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four. But the worst part about it was they play Oregon on Saturday. And then I found out that I got to be there all day just to go on the field at the end of the first quarter to a 14-0 score, wave at everybody and say, hey, it was a great time 10 years ago when we made the Final Four. But right now my heart hurts seeing what's on the field right now.
It just feels like those years are a long way away to when the Badgers were relevant. And look, this isn't me saying fire Fickell now and cut your losses. What this is saying is patience is gone. Like,
yes.
Show me something. At this point, show me something. Get through this week, win out, and show me something in year 3, because at this point, you are starting to run out of excuses, running out of time. And listen to the callers that we had call in. And I welcome more callers because it seems like it's a collective feeling, is that patience is gone and that you have started to lose a lot of the goodwill, a lot of that marketing pitch that was like, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Great, I can't wait. That has been completely evaporated, and I think the patience is completely gone. So I think that how you and I are feeling, Ben, is how so much of Badger Nation is feeling.
Is winning out a realistic possibility?
Hell no.
With Oregon?
You just have Nebraska and Minnesota.
After Oregon?
Yeah.
They should. I mean...
They should for my heart's sake.
Can you automatically chalk that Nebraska game, which is on the road, up as a win?
I think both are a coin flip, and they shouldn't be. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I feel you there. I was just curious because you said, get through this game and win out. I don't know that it's a foregone conclusion that will happen.
No, that's what I was saying. Like, it's a directive. I'm like, Coach Fickell, you want to start to build a little bit of this like trust back, whatever. Don't get embarrassed on Saturday and win out. Then I'll say, okay, let's just see what you do next year. But if you don't become bowl eligible, you lose the axe. It's ugly games. It's only going to get worse. So it was more of a directive, like, this is what you got to do to end the season for me to feel any bit of optimism going into year 3.
Brad, you're hurting my heart. Maybe you're hurting your own heart, too, saying this out loud.
Yeah, it does. It hurts.
800-990-3776. A lot of people pointing to the fact that Van Dyke and Braden Locke, like, not very good.
They didn't look good with Van Dyke.
It's exactly what I was going to say. Exactly. Dan and Sheboygan, you're up.
Gentlemen, I have some bad news. I'm going to take the other side. There's a chance we lose out. Who is the best team Wisconsin's beat this year?
Rutgers.
I can't even think. I don't even know what's going to.
which is not very good.
If Rutgers are they're a top 40, top 50 team, they could easily lose. I don't think they're going to be favored the rest of the season. They're not favored against Oregon. They won't be favored at Nebraska. And Minnesota's been playing some pretty good football lately.
Yeah, thank you for the call, Dan. Unfortunately, you're hurting my heart even more. Brian in Lake Mills.
Hey, a couple of things. I think the Longo hire was terrible because they also trusted Longo to bring in the offensive line coach. But again, that goes on Fickle. Love who we have with Blazek now. Longo's got to go. I would have thought maybe could have been done last week. Let him go. Also, Brady Collins. We're supposed to have this amazing strength coach that we spend all this money in the off season giving these hype videos. Where is our strength? We don't have it on the lines, and that's Fickle. The D line being pushed around, Fickle being the former wrestler. It's just
it doesn't add up, right?
It's just maddening. It's maddening that he doesn't have his passion for the position he used to play, and just has the talk of last year it was the Northwestern game. This year it's the Iowa game where they just get dismantled. So that next year he'll talk about the Iowa game, how they got dismantled.
And thank you, Brian, because you said it again. I missed that one earlier. He was a nose tackle.
Yeah.
Those guys bang heads and win at all costs.
Built different. Especially in the 90s.
Especially in the 90s. Probably had a cage. Probably one of those cage helmets.
It doesn't add up. That's what you said.
It doesn't add up.
That's well said.
It just doesn't add up right now.